Is Kenobi gonna join and act as me? Probably.
Yes. I'm actually super excited because on what day? It's like very soon. I'm gonna be able to go to a it's a winter whatever.
Wonderland?
No, I do SCA, which is basically like recreating old things and such. So I'm gonna dress up and it's gonna be cold and I'm gonna go and we're gonna do cool things. It's pretty cool. Can't you see I'm very, very, very understandable? Like I can explain things very well.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
you can explain things better than Dez, so I can't really complain that much. I'm not very good at racing, unfortunately. I think I might have been good at racing at some point. Definitely not anymore. That time has passed. It was a bubble. And the bubble burst like a month ago.
Forgot perks.
I do like the lighting on the race map. It's very blue now. And I don't have a lot of the rendering options. It looks even better. But...
Isn't friendly thing brawler?
Well, it's nice to see from like the art style in HunterNet that they're not afraid of like having contrasting colors. Because, you know, usually when you make game more realisticism, you like make the colors really, you know, dull gray and boring typically.
Alright, Nix.
You know. A bit too much oomph. Oh, I messed that up. I messed it up. Not that bad, though. It just means I'm probably any amounts of... But I'm way more consistent with putting in just, like, solid laps, so, you know, I have that much to look for. Oh, a little bit too quick through here. Shame. For shame. Ruin the perfectly solid tempo. Yeah, 216. Yeah, that would have been pretty good if I didn't mess it up. Like I always do. Because I'm a tism. So this won't be as fast, that's because I didn't get that speed boost here. But, I am happy, okay, I'm not as good at getting a fast lap, but I'm way better at being, consistently competent. So, you know. That's good, right, Darth?
Yeah.
I don't feel like you were very sincere. Do you really mean it?
I think being consistent is better than being
Fast?
well.
Ah!
To get better.
Not laughing at my pain. Ow. Alright, we're gonna restart. That is issue. I want to adjust my personal heat slightly hot. Maybe that will help me. Life. I just felt like it was a little bit cool. Oh, I'm happy that I get today and tomorrow off from working. It's nice. I wish that Battlefield didn't come out on the 19th, so it comes out the ending of when my weekend's over for this week. That's something I... Also, I kind of want to, like, pre-rotate on that one. I'm just too scared to do it. Baby steps. Yeah, I had to stop there because I would have propelled myself into a rock. I had to cool off our jets. Alright, I didn't... Oh, I'm trying to screw it up. Alright, 0-10. Okay. That's pretty good. I don't know if that's the new record. I lost track of what the record even was. I forgot completely. Don't keep racing. It's fun. Oh, I need to restart the slap though because I was doing nothing for a little bit. Alright. I think, Scram's a no. I don't know if he's online right now. I could just ask him. Or maybe Days could figure it out. I don't know. Days, if you feel like it, you can help. I mean, you don't have to, because you're very busy with having fun. So, you know. I know you don't very often have fun, so I can understand you don't want to. Oh, Days also gave me a massage, which I can't quite look at right. It definitely made that. Boxel definitely made that part easier. Because I know he said that he, like, cleared out a lot of stuff. Oh! Terrible bump there, though. Oh! Doing a Far Cry 6 DLC where you play as Voss. That sounds cool. I might get Far Cry 6 now just because of that. I think was their point in making that DLC, but... So I think, like, I'm having an easier time with the racing just because of the color contrast. So my main problem I would have with the racing before is I would be able to see very well when, like, blacking out. But because of, like, the bright orange and the dark blue being the color scheme, I can just see a lot easier even if I'm blacking out a lot. I can, like, have a better idea of what I'm doing, so I don't make as many mistakes
Wait,
as I
so did you actually get a new PB just now?
I think so. Oh, I got a new personal best. I just don't know if that was better than the current record, because I lost track. I feel like probably not.
What was it?
It was 210 and like .06. I have no idea.
Well, wait. So did you at least get on stream so that like?
Yeah, I'm streaming right now.
Oh, so if you did, that would be absolutely hysterical if you just like casually did it.
Maybe, I don't know. Well, it was what I was playing yesterday. Oh, Dace thinks I did get it. Okay.
Wait, you did or didn't?
Well, Dace thinks I did. He's not sure. Yeah, he said he'll double check for me. Thank you. That's why you're the only person that I consider a friend.
Oh. Oh, okay.
That's a lie.
Alright then.
I at least consider Kenobi a friend as well.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
So what am I, chop liver?
you're, an acquaintance.
Damn, that makes me...
Wait, wasn't that... Oh, that was from One Punch Man. Where he's like, I don't know, I wouldn't say we're close enough to be friends, but at the same time we're not complete strangers, so I think we're just acquaintances. Like a line, I think. It might have been from, like, a specific part in the manga, because I definitely read the manga of One Punch Man. I got very impatient with the... Oh, how did I not done?
I just kind of finished... I was like,
Oh! It's ending in disaster! You finished with what?
I just didn't want to watch it anymore.
Oh, One Punch Man?
Yeah.
Did you get through, like, season 1, basically?
Yeah.
Because season 2 was, like... They kept the story intact, but, like, the animation is just, like, not quite as good. It's, like, kind of mediocre. It's not like it's bad, but it's just, like, the first season is, like, some of the best animation ever made. So to have it just go from that to being mediocre is, like, it hurts.
Yeah. I mean, it's still fine. It's
Yeah.
just not as good.
But it's like, dude, like, this anime deserves to have, like, the best animation we can get for it. Because, I mean, like, because it's so well written.
You'd think from the first season being so successful, they would have carried on with the same animation team.
I don't know why, because it was Madhouse that did the first season. I don't know why they didn't do it. I think it was, like, personal reasons for them. But, like, I know it was a really good reason, on their part at least. Why it got passed over to JC stuff, which are just considered, like, a competent animation studio, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Whereas Madhouse are literally, like, fucking crazy. Crazy skilled.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like they have a big team, it's like, no, they're like a small team, they're just absurdly talented. Yeah, ish.
210, like... If, we're gonna need to track that, because that would be crazy if we just accidentally got the new world record.
Oh no!
We got 210.833. If you beat that, then, you're good.
I'm currently dying, though. I'm currently soiling it. I'm too nervous.
For what?
Just doing the racing. Oh.
What?
Oh, I still got the... Oh, I bounced in the right way. That was even funnier. I think I beat my... No, I didn't beat it. Okay. It was close, though. If I didn't crash into the finish line, I would have beaten it. Alright, I got a 210.26, and that didn't beat my record. So the one I did earlier was faster. Slightly. But only slightly. Alright, I'll do a little bit more racing. Because I just feel like I can get under 210, I think. It's like... Even though I'm not, like, employing any strategies that are different, and I'm not, like, in a good mental state to race. Because I'm very nervous and twitchy, and making, like, lots of tiny mistakes all the time. Just... Problem is, you can't make tiny mistakes when it's, like, a tight timing window. You can't do that. It's like, it's just, like, robs seconds that end up being important. Hey, I did that thing I wanted to do. It's not super well. I didn't execute it really well, but I did do that thing I wanted. That was something I wanted to do.
Oh my god, dude, you did it!
Yay!
Oh my god.
Wahoo! I'm so happy.
What was his time?
Okay, that lap's ruined.
Oh, wait, what was your time? What was the time?
Oh, just look in the HunterNet logo.
You're not yelling anymore though, you're still reading. It's hidden in the HunterNet log, let's see. I remember muting that shit, because it was just... Oh my god, yeah, 210.061. Dude, holy shit, yeah, you got the newest...
Woo.
And you did by like a good margin too. You did by like almost a whole second.
I did it by a better margin back in the day, so it doesn't mean anything.
Well, now you're back in your royal spot.
Ah! Alright.
How do you feel, King?
I feel, fine. Perfectly normal. But not a big deal to me, because it's like, I only do stuff in HUD.
You're like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, you're just so casual about it, even though you just fucking did it.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, it was just me feeling in the mood to race again. It's like, oh, I think maybe I could beat my old record, so. Because I figured something out that I was making a big mistake on. It's like, I was slowing down to 0 for a picture, and I'm like, actually, I don't need to do that. And then that shaved off like 2 seconds.
Congrats, Gunman.
Whoa. Are you proud of me, Mama? She wouldn't be. She's always hated me playing video games. She'd be even more disappointed. But she already is. Ha ha. That's a lie. She wouldn't be an enemy.
I don't know, having the old record's kind of a big fucking deal.
She'd be like, yeah, but how is that gonna support yourself financially, though? And it's just like, shut up. It's just for fun. Not everything I do has to be min-maxing my financial standing in life. God. My main concern is just having fun. That's why I hate all these video games, because they don't bring me fun, because they're inferior quality. Compared to what I used to have when I was a young child, and didn't realize how good I had it. Especially with Halo 3, like, boy, I had no idea how good I had it back then. I didn't realize I would have played, like, one of the best games of my whole life when I was that young. Oh, and that with ODST, which is, like, probably my favorite single-player game ever. Just for, like, the campaign being so cool. Yeah, 211. Alright, I think I had my fulfillment with the raid. So I'd like to get below 210, but I'm not feeling it anymore. It's like, nope, the moment passed. I don't feel like doing it. I'm gonna go back to murdering boards of AI unless a player joins, and then if they want to, we can do the fighting. You know. Standard loadout is full. BST. And a hole. That's like my normal loadout now. It's already on Fafa. No, it's itself to a Trish. What are you doing, Cammy?
Found a boss that just like instant kills you. Well, it doesn't, but it grabs you and you can't get away from it.
So that means I have to frickin' clip the thing again in my stream, which was annoying the last time I had to do it, but at least I know it's within the first 20 minutes. It's actually in the first 10 minutes, I think, when I did the lap, so when I clip that. And put it in the HunterNet mode, yo. But to me, it's like, I think the entire reason it's easier is the color contrast. That's the only reason. Because it just helps my perception a lot better of, like, where I am, even if I'm blacking out, so I don't fuck up as much. Yeah, and also it's like, I'm always doomed to lose my record in the racing anyway, because people will eventually, like, figure out a route to optimize, and to me, I just don't even like that, like, gameplay at all. So I'll never optimize a route, I'll just luck into doing something that was fast, essentially. Whereas other people will, like, actually figure out a good route to take, and then they'll spend time practicing that specific route over and over, whereas I don't really do that. Because I don't find that very enjoyable, personally. So I'm always doomed to lose the record. No matter how well I do, I feel like. So it's like, I don't consider it a big deal. Because it's like, yeah. It's not like the drone record I have, where I'm never gonna lose that thing, which I'm quite happy with.
Well, yeah, because you clearly can't play that mode anymore.
Oh no, you can play the mode. And I think I did some testing on it where I felt like, I think it is possible to break my record. From, like, me, like, testing the thing on drone. Because they did buff the speed again in drone at some point. So that's why I was interested in testing it. I'm like, I think you could actually maybe beat me. It's just, I don't think anyone cares at all to even try. Because you'd have to, like, just the way that mode in drone worked is, it's a score attack with flying around, so what you have to do is you need to get 10 orbs to, like, extend your time by 10 seconds. So you need to, like, on average be getting every orb in 10 seconds or less to be able to play the mode for an infinite period of time. And on top of that, you also need to not take longer than 3 seconds with getting an orb, or you reset your combo multiplier back to 0. Which isn't a huge deal if you want to play it longer than an hour.
But yes, like, I didn't even get to move.
But, I mean, essentially that game mode in drone requires you to fly, like, really well for at least an hour and a half without making any mistakes. And if you make one mistake, you reset your program.
Yeah.
So it's annoying as hell. And
What was that? Fly for a while. Like my whole computer just froze for a second.
oh, okay. I was saying with like the drone flight training thing. Essentially, you have to fly really well for an hour and a half at least, and not make a mistake. And if you do make a mistake, you get your point multiplier reset, so you can still continue. It will just take you 3 hours instead of an hour and a half to beat your score.
Damn.
And usually at that point, you've lost, like, you're underneath a minute and 30 from your starting time. So it just makes more sense to restart at that point. Right? 9 times out of 10. But it's like, yeah, it's very annoying. It's like it's basically the quality of life on the speedrunning, if you can call it that, is just like absurdly low. And that's why no one wants to bother with it, because like it's just not fun to speedrun it, because it's very repetitive.
Well, but so you did it for an hour and 30 minutes?
Yeah,
Why?
because I wanted to beat the old record.
Wait, but how long was the old record?
Oh no, it was like 1.3 billion, and I got 2 billion points. And that takes like an hour and a half to do, approximately. In Drono.
Holy fuck. And I'm guessing you could still go, but you were just getting bored, so you just stopped.
I just stopped because there's a risk of you overflowing it. Because my score's technically negative 2 billion, but it's overflowed, so it's really like 4 billion, something. But if I went further, it's like, I would have to like time it really specifically to not overflow it to 0, and then break the fucking thing, which is what the devs told me, to not push it anymore, because they're worried that I'd break the scoreboard from overflowing it completely, because it already underflowed. So... But like I say, it's like, it's not... I wouldn't even say, it's not necessarily hard, it just requires you to be really consistent for a really long period of time.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm gonna see this trailer, so...
Okay. Well, you're gonna tell me to shush my own live stream. Ass. In my own Discord.
This is stupid. How are you supposed to dodge it?
Are you having problems with Metroid Fusion?
Yeah.
Oh, I guessed the game right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just assuming it was Metroid Fusion. I didn't know what that actually looks like.
Yeah, the spiders, like, if it grabs you, it just gets you in a stun lock until you're dead. Like, and it's almost impossible to dodge it in the first place.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like, if it grabs you, you're... Yeah, it grabbed me.
Wait, should I put it on 100net media? Oh, or 100net banner? Which one? What channel? Well, I think Daddy said 100net banner, so... Alright, if that makes more.
Yeah, it killed me again, like in 10 seconds flat. This is the I've done a save state and I've died 20 times so far, like without scoring a hit.
Maybe you should just look up like footage of people beating it. Then.
Oh, people just said don't panic and just be careful. There's no.
I
easy
said,
way
how
to
about
do
a
it.
video? Like, watch a video of someone then. So you know, like, what you're expected to do, and then just try to copy that. And they'll probably...
Oh, if you morph ball in the corner, it can't get you, it seems.
Yeah, see? You didn't know that, so now it'll be fine. I like how people's advice, how to get past this boss, don't panic, keep your cool. It's like, okay, but what do I actually do?
Cool
But what do I actually do? That wasn't the problem. I wasn't angry at it. It's just like, I just don't know what to do. Alright. Frickin' AI or
Yeah,
AI.
if you just stay in the corner,
Spider-Man movie
it's
actually
not
looks pretty
that
nice.
bad.
Spooderman? At least it's, I mean, it has to be better than Eternals, because, oh my lord, that thing makes no sense.
What on the... It's changed form.
It's kind of as bad as, like, the Loki show, because the Loki show basically breaks time, and then the Eternal show breaks space, essentially, because it changes the mechanics of how the universe works scientifically.
I feel like it's gonna give me the space jump, I'm not sure why.
Alright. Yeah, but like, yeah, that's why I don't like playing aggressively. It just makes the game like so easy. Like, it's really easy. Especially against the AI, because the AI can't deal with you being aggressive on them. They do way better if you're trying to like outmaneuver them.
Yo, that actually looks pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited. Okay. Anyway,
Hey, got it.
what's that? It's 10 o'clock. It's my time to go zone out and watch some TV.
Oh.
You see,
Heck.
I'm on a schedule.
Yeah. And then after that, it's the time of reckoning.
Well, afterwards, maybe like whenever Cammy feels like it, it's Minecraft if he wants it.
No, he hates Minecraft now.
Says who?
He instead wants to play From the Depths.
You know, I'm seeming really interested in From the Depths, but I mean, sadly I don't have it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just waiting. I'll get it for you when it goes on sale. I just don't want to buy it on full price for someone else. It's like...
Gunman. Like, just knowing the hype.
Especially when I have reduced hours for this week and possibly the next week from my job, so I don't want to spend money if I don't have to. Just so that I can still be gaining.
The other comments are, if you think this
Illusion.
boss is difficult, this is one of the easier ones compared to the later bosses. It's like, oh, great.
So Metroid Dread got its is easier than Metroid.
Yeah, that seems so.
Why did they make the Game Boy Advance Metroid the hard one?
I know the Zero Mission, the second Game Boy Advance game, was really easy in comparison.
Zero Mission.
Hmm.
That's why everyone remembers Zero Mission, because they actually got to like get a significant amount in the game or finish it compared to Fusion. No one remembers it because no one beat it because it was too hard.
I don't think that was people's problem with it. They was like, it's too linear. I mean, kind of, but it's just like because the plot, the story that makes it be linear.
Like it's too
And
linear.
it's not that linear anyway, because you can still backtrack for items. You just have to find the secret passages to do it.
Alright, I'm gonna now disappear out into the void that I called interweb.
The unending void of non-existence that your soul wanders for eternity, if it ever
Well,
ends up.
right now, I had like the weirdest like dream. It was so fucking. It was like, cause it was like a whole military fleet, like but it was exactly what you were talking about before. It was like, yo, it was like they were just fucking weird mutated humans and shit. It was weird as fuck, but they were still like, think about the what is it, the clone troopers or the whatever troopers from like Star Wars, but way
Watch those wrist rockets. That's what they say.
Just like
I like... I'm trying to remember the captain from 2D Clone Wars that was, like, basically Doom Guy in Stormtrooper form. Because he's, like, so good as, like, a clone trooper. It's like, man, I really like 2D Clone Wars way more than the 3D one after seeing it. It's like, wow, this is way better.
I haven't seen the 2D Clone Wars.
Oh, you'll love it.
Oh.
Alrighty, I'm gonna now disappear into the void. Ready? Watch
Yeah.
me go. Whee!
It does have power creep issues. Like, a lot of power creep issues, but... Slightly. Just 3D Clone Wars also has the same problem, so I mean, might as well be entertaining. Power creep. And plus, like, I don't know if, like, 2D Clone Wars is meant to be taken 100%, like, you know, seriously, and that, oh, this happened exactly the way we portrayed, or if it was, like, exaggerated. I don't know. Because they could have easily have gone that route. I don't think it was something that was, like, technically finished out completely. I would say if you do see any Marvel movies, be afraid. Be terrified of watching them. I like how I think people are saying 100 feels a big slow because they've reduced the speed. Well, it's like, well, the problem is I like slow-paced games, so I'm not gonna be on your side. Yeah, I always prefer slower movement when possible, typically. I like how pretty this map is, too, with the render. Unfortunately, I still think drone looks better. Especially on lower settings. I mean, I don't think I played drone with my 240 Hz mod, so I don't know what frame rate it would run at. But yeah. Nobody's being toxic. Yeah. Not the Twitch
I
cat,
noticed.
the
Yeah.
Discord one.
I could see it.
My Twitch cat is a unending void of non-existence, which is normal. Don't panic. This is normal. Simply take it outside and burn it if this happens. Yeah, I wouldn't like his channel though, because like I like the shapes video, but I feel like it would get derivative really quickly. Where it's like, oh, it's the same format. It's like, yeah, I've kind of seen. I feel like I've already seen this, even though I haven't. So. Bombers are hard. Might just be getting tired. I mean, it is early in the morning for me. And I slept, like, too long. I probably slept so long that it makes me feel more tired. That's a thing that happens. You don't want to sleep too long. Then you, like, choke on your own snores and die. But if you sleep too little, you have a heart attack and die. You gotta be really careful of how long you sleep. The balance.
Ah.
Are you sleeping for the correct amount of time, Cammy?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
You should know. That's something that's you should know, not assume. I missed my OP backstrafing in HunterNet and made it a lot. I mean, it was more fun because you could, like, pull brakes on people, man. Can't really do. Oh, out of ammo. I should look at the Kickstarter page again, because it did get a little bit extra money after it was... That's why everyone we think. It's like we think Fernando is like, overconfident now. He got so much more money than he expected. Although I really need to see, like, more Tism. Actually, I think it's just evidence of diminishing returns, because, like, the whole point of the HunterNet money was so that El Boxel could, like, model in a bunch of shit. But so far, there's only, like, I think 2 models that are done, so I'm thinking it's a case of, like, diminishing returns where, yeah, he's spending, like, 5 to 10 times the time on the models, but it's, like, the quality increase in the models is, like, not as much as you would expect for how much time was spent on. Because it's like, well, yeah. But, I mean, that's the nice thing about a good model. If you make a good model, it's gonna be a good model until the end of time. Like, a lot of models in, like, older FPS games are, like, still pretty good. And it's usually, like, you only need to, like, make the textures better, and it, like, updates it for the most part to, like, modern standard now. Just by up-resing texture. You don't really need to, like, improve the poly count or anything. In most cases. As long as it's, like, a game within the last, like, 10-ish years. Like, the poly count is, like, it's perfectly adequate polygon count, like... Although I know what you want, you Tism Cammy, is like, you want like a completely different way of rendering everything that isn't times 86. Don't you hate x86 as an architecture?
No, I don't hate it. I
Yes,
just
you do.
think it's gone on for a surprising amount of time, and it's fine. But it's like you can already see Apple have moved away from it. It's like, uh-oh, this isn't good.
Oh, didn't Apple
It's like
move?
I don't dislike x86. I just worry for its future.
Oh, don't
Apple
worry.
Apple are on ARM for their desktops now.
Oh yeah, but the spooky x86 Sapoos, like, they're gonna scale up like a lot more now. So don't worry. Especially Intel. Intel are gonna, like... They've, like, woken up from their slumber for the last 5 years.
It's like, wait, we're not we're not dominant in the what's it called? Desktop space anymore?
Well, I mean, technically, the current Intel CPUs that they came out with do win against the AMD CPUs for, like, frame rates in gaming. They win overall. And I think even for multi-threading, it's like, I think they have a slight edge over Zen as well.
I'm still debatable whether the review sites are
Well,
doing the tests fairly for AMD.
well, I'm thinking going off. I should look more like Gamers Nexus, what their benchmarks were. Because
I know there's one of them that is hilariously anti-AMD.
Yeah, that's a user benchmark.
Yeah.
That one hates AMD with a burning passion, but they didn't used to. That's like a recent thing that's happened. They used to like compliment AMD with when Ryzen 1 came out. They were like really friendly. It's just when AMD started winning that they were very unfriendly. Really quite alright.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they did the same thing again, but only slightly better. And it's like, oh, Intel have managed to do something cool. It's like, no, they haven't. They literally have done the exact same. It's like, oh yeah, AMD have been taking a big risk using this new architecture, which may not pay off. It's like, wait, what? It's like, they don't know what they're on about. Well, he does, but he just...
Hey, this is what you want, Plasma. AI melting. What it's good for. They can't... The AI can't react fast enough to how quickly you shred them into a million pieces. So I think what Fernando did... Let me, like, run my energy out. I think he made it where when you're out of energy, it drains heat again. Okay. So that still makes kinetic weapons and energy weapons, so you still get the burst damage increase. I'm not sure about the sustained DPS increase that it was giving you. It might still be there, it's just definitely nerfed from what it was. Because I know, like, if you put one energy and one kinetic on, like, the first patch of ammo, you basically doubled your DPS over an infinite period of time. When before, if you did that in any other patch of the game, you wouldn't change your infinite DPS at all. It's only your burst DPS that would go up from having more than one gun. Because of how the game was designed. So, I think that there might be just a smaller infinite DPS increase, because I don't know the numbers. I don't know the specific stats on the guns well enough to, like, say that. I can just kind of assume. Because the fact that the numbers are hidden just means it's really hard to know if something is just OP because of the stats for it alone. It's like, yeah. It's really hard to tell. 9 times that. Unless I, like, did testing myself, but, like, I always hate doing that. I never did that in Elite, and the thing that would always piss me off in Elite is when some important stat number is, like, hidden. Like, hidden value is, like, the most annoying thing to deal with in Elite Dangerous, because it makes it way harder to, like, know what you need to engineer on your ship, so you just are worried that you're gonna waste, like, 12 hours of gameplay, because that one hidden value that you don't know just ended up being really important, and would completely change what you would have done in those 12 hours for, like, what build you were going for. That happened every now and then to me. So that's why I started really hating hidden values in that game. Because I think the main one they hide is, like, the shield scaling value. For, like, how good your shields are on a ship. Because the shields scale off, like, your weight, but every ship has a hidden value that's, like, a multiplier for its shield strength beyond, like, the weight. And the same goes for the engines, too. It's like, there's fixed values that you don't know about. That you can only, like, glean from, like, testing. You don't just, like, know whatever the number is. Like, I remember getting annoyed by that. And also heat dissipation. That's, like, a big one that's, like, hidden. Because if I knew the exact heat dissipation, then I could calculate, like, the thermal load on, like, the weapons that I pick way better, so I can make sure that it has infinite DPS. And I think there's, like, a limited hiding of, like, stats of your ship based on how many pips you have. I think you have to use third-party sites to figure that out. I don't think there's a way in-game to figure out what your, like, recharge is with 4 pips to weapons or system engines. Like, what the recharge rate is exactly. I don't think the game will just tell you that, but that's really easy to calculate anyway. But it's just annoying that you have to calculate it at all for, like, different pips so that you can, like, figure out, like, Just how to, like, build this shit. Essentially, it's like, I want more known quantities, because then I can actually build around a known quantity versus a assumed quantity. Just like the same principle of, like, console optimization. Because a dev said that's like the main reason why consoles are better optimized with the same games, it's entirely because the consoles are known quantities for their performance. Whereas PC, it's like, it's always assumed quantities. And he said it's like, and literally the known quantities mean that like your engineers in the game will know that they can run a specific amount of polygons per scene, and it will stay at 30 FPS or whatever, and if they add even one more poly, they know it will go down to 29. Like, it's just, that's how specific it can get with, like, the...
Yeah, it would be nice
quality.
if they actually did that on consoles still, because it doesn't seem to be like that. Because
there's
seen lots of console games where they do...
Well, especially when a new generation comes out, they don't care about optimizing it, because they have so much more headroom with the graphics. That, it's like, you're fine if you don't optimize it.
Previous gen consoles, they don't optimize for them very well either.
Well, the Xbone and PS4, like, they didn't get a lot of optimization compared to, like, what the 360 and PS3 were getting. The only console that was getting well optimized was Nintendo consoles, and only by Nintendo first-party games. And third-party games would just usually be really lazy. But it's like, that's just like a problem with, like, the hardware is just so good that a lot of devs just couldn't care less about optimizing. Which means that when someone does, like, a really good job optimizing, they're just, like, really far ahead, and no one can catch up to them when someone does decide to optimize. Because some dev will be like, I want to have, like, 10,000 AI, so I need to optimize my game, and then they'll be able to have, like, 10,000 complex AI in their game, and no one can just touch them with what they're able to accomplish. Because they decided to optimize. Because they're not reliant on their hardware as much. And not even deciding to optimize, like deciding that not only am I going to optimize the game, I'm going to try to figure out a better way of optimizing than the normal way you'd optimize a game. That's when you see, like, people pull, like, really far ahead. Like, I think that's, like, a good example for Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2. Because they're saying that with, like, decent modern graphics cards, like a 6800, you can have up to, like, 5 million units rendered simultaneously with a decent AI that fight each other. And it's like no lag. It will run at like 30 to 60 FPS with no like stuttering or lag. So they're just absurdly far ahead because they did a shit ton of optimization to offload as much of the game as possible and the rendering off the CPU into entirely on the graphics. Because they basically figured out how to get the AI to render only on your graphics card, and to not have the CPU be involved in the AI rendering. Or, like, calculating what the AI does. It's entirely something that the GPU can do. But I know a big area of optimization that should happen in the future is just, like, AI. And by AI, it's, like, just, like, neural network-based processing, because essentially, the throughput on AI-based processing is like 100 to 1,000 times better than what a graphics card could do. But the problem is the calculations aren't 100% accurate. They're like 99% accurate. So 1% of the time, the calculations are incorrect, versus a graphics card which is only going to make an incorrect calculation like 0.001% of the time or something like that. So, it's like the error rate is like way, way higher, so it's gonna have a more specific use. To where, like, a situation where it doesn't require, like, a really high level of precision. So that you can get, like, 1,000 times more, like, calculations calculated than you could with a graphics card. That's, like, an area that will be, like, really optimized. So, like... Especially if you figure out how to get the, if you get it optimized to the point where everything's rendered based off that AI engine, and then all the graphics card does is re-render the mistakes to being accurate, and that's all it does, which it could easily do. if you get it that optimized, you just have, like, an insanely, like, well-performing game in that. Like, I mean, what you could do on, like, a complex scale would just be, like, way better than what we can do at the moment. Like, you'd basically get close to supercomputer levels of, like, you know, throughput for what you can do. In real time, especially. And so, I mean, it would kind of mean, like, you know, any, like, the animated films that take, like, what, many months to render? Like, you would suddenly get that done in, like, 1 week, instead of, like, several months, if not faster.
Well, these are the ones that don't use regular graphic cards because they can't deal with the 0.001% chance of the error.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's like, you'd have to, like, code it, like, really spookily to actually work like that. Because otherwise, what you'd have to do in the short term is just figure out what workloads to give the what, that based on what makes sense. Versus in the future, what you would hope is that you give every single workload to your neural engine, and then the graphics card would just be error correcting, and that's all it does. All it does is correct for the errors. And it works like at least to the same level of the error on the graphics card, because at that point, you just have 100 times the computing power for free at that point, if you get that working. And also, another spooky thing with the CPUs is basically from both Intel and AMD. They are both working on getting AI on CPUs, essentially. So neural engines and whatnot. I think is what they're calling them.
Smart, not brute force, basically.
Yeah. It's like they're basically...
It's not really AI, it's just smart algorithms, right? It's not got learning in there at all.
I think it's I have to look up more specifically, but it's like I think it's somewhere in between like AI and like, you know, just a normal neural network. It's basically just like machine learning 2.0, basically, I think. And then maybe quantum computers will suddenly, like, get powerful. Because it really sounds similar to quantum computing, where it's like, oh, you can get, like, a shit ton of calculations, but, like, it's hard to know if it was correct or not. Like, a quantum computer can calculate, like...
It's like a quantum computer without bullshit, basically.
Yeah. Where you don't need to get as close to absolute zero as possible on the temperature. That's not required.
It's almost like quantum things actually are just pretty normal, and you don't have to like specifically try to have tricks and stuff. It's just like, yeah, no, you just yeah, algorithms. They'll
Algorithm. All right. I'm gonna finish like this free-for-all, and then I'll be done with my Stromo for Wednesday. I have a plasma.
I had to kill another boss.
I'm using the plasma beam in HunterNet. It's probably better than the one you have in Metroid Fusion, considering it kills anything in like 1 second. If you actually can hit it, though. Actually, I can't anymore. I've forgotten how to aim. Oh, he just got super close. Yay. Well, I mean, so the plasma works exactly how I say it does, where it's a fantastic weapon when the thing you're fighting at isn't trying to evade you, but the second it tries to evade you, you wish you'd have, like, any other gun. It's fantastic when they're not dodging you, but if they are dodging you, it's really bad. Compared to, like, a Vulcan or something. Or you can just do what you're supposed to do and just not be so close. Like, get close, but not too close, because when you get too close to the plasma, it actually gets harder, which is why I consider it a pretty bad close-range weapon. It's the main way you counter to not being able to turn on someone this close is just to back up a little bit. And that actually makes it easier when it's supposed to be a close-range weapon, but it literally performs better at, like, not quite close range than close range. Because you'll always lose to a gun with faster projectile speed at close range, just because they don't have to rotate as much as you. Especially if they exploit the fact that you have to rotate more. So if they just, like, move back and forth side to side, because of how much you think you have to leave, because you're going to assume they're going to continue that motion, that could screw you up a lot more than it would with, like, a Vulcan or something. Because even if you're over-leading, because you're getting tricked by side strafing, it's not as big a problem. And that's also, like, one of the main cases where not having pips versus having pips is kind of a little bit silly in terms of, like, the comparison, because when you don't have pips, someone, like, moving can, like, fool me way easier than if you have a pip, because if you have a pip, you're just gonna aim at the pip, typically. So someone can't, like, trick you with their movement. There's no, like, you know, bamboozling going on. It's like you either move out of their, you know, line of fire or you don't. And that's, like, the complexity of the aiming and dodging. Like, that's kind of, like, the long and short of it, versus when you don't have pips, you have a lot more, like, you know, mental games that can happen. Because you have to perceive where to shoot versus just being told where to shoot. So it's like, it's more dynamic. Makes it more fun. Because you're more likely to miss shots because you got tricked. Then it's not just like it doesn't feel like it's all about accuracy. It's like, it feels like there's an element of like, oh, I can like try and guess what he's gonna do more. And it feels more important than like, actually, I don't really need to predict somebody. I can just be really, really accurate. And because the pip will also be really accurate, it will compensate super well, and it'll have like really good, you know, hit ratio. Even though I'm not doing anything more complicated than just trying to aim at the pip as accurately as I can. And if you have a really fast gun, the faster your gun is, the better only aiming at the pip will feel for, like, your accuracy. It's the less that they can just evade you. Alright, that was the end of my Strom. Did the racing and then the AoE.